Hey y'all, what is up? So, I am recording this from my car. It's not terrible. I just literally just did not go back to my apartment and do what I was supposed to do, which is find a specific day to go back and record the podcast. I have gone back, feed my pets and everything, but yeah. So that's basically what had happened. So I'm just recording this from my car. I was trying to think through what exactly is it that I wanted to talk about with, you all this week. And I think what I kind of landed on, still trying to figure it out. It's alright. It might be a little mishmash between a few topics, but right now, one of the things that I landed on was about, seeking validation to, live your life for yourself. That is a very rough topic for me. And not in the sense that I can't talk about it. It's more of, it's just hard for me to be patient for the process to take root and to really just, it become, a normal thing for me to know that, okay, Shin, you're going to make this decision for yourself, and you're going to stand by it. And if you make a mistake with that decision, i.e., maybe it doesn't work out the way you want it to, you fuck a little something up, you do a little something, you know what I'm saying? That you're not thinking that the world is ending, that you're understanding that life is just being what it is, life. So I know that I started talking about my past of being in the cult and everything, which is the old church. And so here is kind of how this kind of worked out through my life. So in my personal life, with growing up with my family, of course, I wouldn't say exactly close knit, but we are close. So we talked about a lot of things, me and my family, and me and my middle brother definitely talked about a lot. Me and the oldest brother, we had, moments where we would really connect through certain topics and certain things. And honestly, I remember being in college talking to him about new feelings as a person who's coming into womanhood, and I'm feeling sexual feelings. I'm doing all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Me and my family, we talk, and my sister-in-law definitely was very, very close to her, especially in my childhood. We're still close now, but it was way closer in my childhood. That's will lead to the next thing I need to talk about, as well as my mom. There was a portion of my life where I felt I had to tell her everything. You know what I mean? Every decision, everything that had happened, I had to tell her. So I did have some issues with boundaries when I was growing up. I didn't really understand. I didn't find it safe for me to just make certain decisions on my own without feeling okay, I'm going to get criticized, or this person is going to be mad at me because I decided to do this thing instead of whatever else they probably wanted me to do. And then when you combine all of this with the fact that I was so heavily involved with the church, it brings another element of, not only do I have my personal family, right, but I also have my church family, who is still a form of family. Oh man, that was taken. Sorry, I'm looking for a parking spot because I'm going to go grocery shopping at one of my favorite places, H Mart. It's an Asian grocery, and it is popping. But yeah, so having those two sides of the coin, you can say, was very difficult. It was very loving, of course, at many times in my life where I felt wow, I'm getting so much love and care from this set of people, because I not only have my personal family, but I have my church family who loves me and cares for me and will be there for me when I need advice. That includes the old pastor, things like that. But there were times that it would have felt better if I had just had more of a very healthy outlook on what life should look like when it comes to making decisions, validation, all of that. So from a very young age, I taught myself that I, one, needed to be hypervigilant so that I can understand people's moods and when they change, and just to comfort people and all of that. I kind of took on the role of being the rock / the caretaker, the emotional caretaker of the family and of quite a bit of people. And that weighs on you. And along with that comes the, yes, I'm very caring, I'm empathetic, I can see when your feelings have changed and when you're struggling with something. I can see all of that, right? But then the part that gets very hard is one, letting that go. Knowing when it's okay for me to say, like, okay, I recognize that person is hurting. I can offer to help them, and then if they don't want it, leave them the fuck alone. But I found my worth was tied to that, to how well I can solve someone's problem, how well I can take care of them, how well I can listen, give them advice, all of that. I tied my worth to that. And so a lot of friendships that I had, like, they were still, like, a lot of them, I'm glad for the ones that I still have today that saw where I was vulnerable and poured back into me instead of letting me be the only pourer and the only person who was basically, like, saying, I'm here for you, I'll help you, them doing it for me as well. So, yeah. So being so heavily involved in the church and everything, I did seek a lot of validation from the church. I saw validation from one of our close family friends who I used to call, like, you know, like I saw her as like my aunt. I sought validation from the old pastor, from just like quite a bit of people, even family members, like quite a bit of people. And so it just became this thing where any big decision that I wanted to make, I felt like I needed to go through the Holy Spirit and these different sets of people to make sure I was making the right decision. When it came to picking a college, should I live on campus? You know, like just things like that. And even at one point, dating. Like I remember there was like this weird instance where like I was getting to know this guy. He was interested in me, and this was in high school, and we went on a college tour trip together, and we were touring like the different colleges in Florida. And he like would stare at me at school and shit like that, but I didn't really know. Like he was very distinct looking, but like I didn't really understand like what was going on. So when it came to what day? When we were on the college tour trip, I think on the way back, he paid one of my friends at the time so that he can sit next to me instead of her sit next to me. And I didn't really talk much because, of course, I was uncomfortable. I'm an awkward child, you know, I didn't really. So I played with my little tablet shit and was just, like, kind of there. But eventually we started talking and everything, and I remember it was just such a dramatic moment. I remember looking out the window of the little bus that they had us in, the little coach bus, you know. And I'm looking out the window, and I look up into the sky, the clouds, and then I hear he's not the one. And I'm like, oh my God. The Lord spoke to me and told me he's not the one. And I still didn't listen. I tried to cut it off with him, you know, to be obedient. But then he kind of like talked me back into it. And I think he just thought that I was like nervous. And so I went with it. And then we continued talking. So we talked for like 4 months. And then I remember this family friend now telling me like, yeah, I was praying. Or they were sleeping. They were sleeping and they had a dream that I was the one that was trying to keep pushing the relationship, but that the relationship was not meant to continue. And like, kind of like it was, the relationship's not supposed to happen type of thing, but I keep pushing for it. And so, of course, I'm kind of like in denial and shit. And I remember feeling such fear that night because I felt like because I denied what she said, / like I was kind of like apprehensive, that I was denying the Lord and what the Lord said. And so, therefore, by denying what the Lord said, I blasphemed against the Holy Spirit. And blaspheming against the Holy Spirit is an unforgivable sin. And so that means that you can never ask forgiveness and get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, all those things went through my head. And so I sought validation a lot in the things that I did. And, like, I still was a very independent person in certain aspects. Like, I lived and worked on a college campus because that's, like, the job that I was doing. I worked with the college students that lived on campus. And so I was there, and of course during the work week, like, I'm the one that's taking care of myself. I'm the one making sure that, like, I have the money to get certain things. And sometimes I'll ask, like, family members for, like, money of, like, you want to sponsor me for dinner or something? But, like, for the most part, I took care of myself. I would go home to visit my family and all that. But, like, I did a lot of those things by myself. I figured out how to, like, use apps to, like, win gift cards from taking surveys so I have, like, a little extra cash. Like, I just learned all of this shit myself and did what I had to do. You know what I mean? And then the family friend also taught me and some of my family members about, like, budgeting and all of that. So that was, like, another tool in our tool belt. And I won't say I'm perfect at it, but that's neither here nor there. That's another conversation. But with that, I did have times where, like, I made decisions for myself. You know, like, when I was on campus, I dressed how I wanted to dress. I wore my little shorts. I did my little thing. I wore leggings as pants because my mom just definitely doesn't like that. And I'm like, listen, girly, I understand, like, if, like, you see, like, my underwear printed out, that's very, just rough. But, like, just, like, leggings in general, I love me some of them. But then when it came to, like, the bigger things of, like, jobs and just, like, what happens next after college, master's program, all those things, I really remember just, like, waiting for church the next Sunday or the Wednesday night or the Saturday morning or whatever service. I would wait because I'm just like, or maybe the pastor to call me during the week because I'm like, surely the Holy Spirit is going to tell me what to do. He's going to show me. And the way that we were raised, it was like the pastor always said, I hate religion. And it's not about religion, it's about relationship, right? It's about your relationship with God. And so I used to think that, like, our thinking was healthy of like, well, I'm not only just a Christian, I'm also a woman of God who has a personal relationship with the Holy Spirit and who incorporates him into everything, like, stuff like that. And so that was the upbringing I was coming from. But I also didn't realize how detrimental it was in certain aspects of, like, I can't make a move unless the Holy Spirit says okay. And then if you don't trust yourself to hear from the Holy Spirit for yourself, you're waiting on another person. And the Bible, specifically the Old Testament / the book of, I think, Amos, is very, like, they're very reverent of prophets, right? Prophets and prophetesses. They're very reverent of them. And I understand that because they are the mouthpieces of God. But there is also, like, this caveat of just like, well, I can't make a move unless they tell me that God said it or they confirm. So even applying to come to this job now where I am in California, I remember being so anxious because before then, I think about a year earlier, I had applied to this job in Texas. It worked out, but then, like, I remember going to church one of those Sundays and the pastor said, she called me up to, like, minister to me and was just like, if the Holy Spirit changes your plans, will you let him? And I knew exactly what it was about, and I said yes. And so eventually, like, she did tell me after the service, like, pray on it for yourself and let the Holy Spirit give you the confirmation that this is what's going on. Like, this is what you should do. But I already did feel it deep down that, like, Texas was not the move. I was just trying to run away, so I canceled it. But I still felt down because I wanted to get out of Florida. I didn't want to be in my life anymore. I wanted to go somewhere else, but I was so worried, right? So what then happened after that was that I let it go. I emailed them and let them know that, like, I have to rescind the offer, like, rescind, like, my yes to the offer. I then had to, like, talk with my current job to let them know, like, hey, can you please let HR know that I'm actually not going to leave? So it was so good that we got them in time and everything. So it was just kind of like me just kind of working through all of that. And I was down about it and everything. And so when this job opportunity came up, I was scared again. The family friend actually was the one that was just like, you gotta stop having fear, just go do the thing, right? So I applied, and then I left, and then I got farther away. I got farther away from Florida, from the church, and so I was able to see things more objectively, and I started to realize that it was not just, I drank a sparkling water, so it's a little bubbles, But I learned, like, being so far away that I was seeking validation for everything, and I wanted people to basically give me that applause. And so this is the part, as I, like, continue going and making, like, these podcast episodes, you'll realize that the church had a lot of mixed signals. So there was healthy aspects, right, where it was just like, okay, cool, you are your own individual, you do the things that you like, and be yourself. But then there was also this thing of, like, but not like that. So, like, the old pastor, she would wear, like, clothes that other pastors and other religious figures would think, like, oh, that's not appropriate. And she wasn't even revealing anything. It's just, like, more, like, form-fitting, just, like, stylish and things like that. Would wear, hair with color in it and stuff like that. And so I knew that I was that person that liked to express myself via my nails, my hair, and just, like, my looks in general and my clothes. But it still felt like there was, like, a line. So it's like, oh yeah, be so free with your expression, but not like that, right? And this didn't always come from the pastor. Sometimes it came from family. Like, I remember when I had, like, went to a shortcut. This was, like, remember, like, peak 90s shortcut where you get your hair relaxed and you get it, like, straightened / like curled in these really nice styles, and They are so motherfucking stiff because you use spritz. Like, I was that girl with that type of hairstyle, and I used to love the mohawk, you know what I mean? But then when I wanted to save some money, I think during the summer, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna shave the sides and just gonna get the hair done, get like braids for the summer, so I'm saving some money, and then I'll go back to the hairstyle when I'm done. And I remember the discomfort, you know, that family had. I'm being very vague because I don't want to just like tell people's business, but like I remember discomfort that family had about like my hair being shaved on the sides and stuff like that. And when I got like a hairstyle done with like twists, and you know, let it go over on the side, do a little swoop swoop bang, all that shit. I remember another family friend saying in church while I was walking by that I was wearing that hairstyle that the lesbians wear. And the issue that I also had was that another friend at the time that was the one that did my hair, they were walking next to me. So imagine like if they had heard that. I just dealt with a lot, and I feel like this is just so jumbled and convoluted, but this is not like a one-time topic. I will definitely have to jump into this again, but it just felt like a lot. It felt like my life at times was not my own. It felt like I couldn't do it. And so when you live life for other people and you're not enjoying it too, there is like a detachment that you have where you're just like, I can't do this anymore. In my podcast, Church Hurt, hashtag Church Hurt, I do talk about the time in, I think it was 2022 or 2020, maybe 2022, where I was just ready to just end it all because of how much I was going through at the church and just in my life in general. But yeah, after the cult, that is one of the things that I do struggle with, is understanding that everyone doesn't have to sign off on what I want to do. If I decide that I want to go and watch this specific movie, and maybe it's not a great idea, everybody doesn't need to sign off on it. They don't all need to tell me, oh, well, I wouldn't watch that, or I don't think that's a good idea, or yeah, go ahead and watch it. Or if I want to wear this specific outfit, of course within reason, because I'm very, 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 about what I wear to certain places. But like if it's something that I really enjoy and I know that like it doesn't look absolutely awful, but like that's my sense of style, I don't need everybody to sign off on that. As long as I know I look good, I'm going to go out the house and I'm going to go enjoy what I want. Or being bald-headed. I am bald-headed. I use a little cream on top of my head each week to take the hair off. I wash my head and I go about my day. You know what I mean? And I've had, like, advice of, like, oh, like, you would look so nice with, like, a short cut, like, a buzz cut with, like, waves or, like, colored hair. I'm like, listen, I've done all that shit already. And I'm not going back to hair. Because that's too goddamn much. But it's still another opinion. It's still another thing. And people are allowed to share their opinions. But what I want you to understand as both a cult survivor / just someone who's just trying to get their life to where you want it to be for yourself, you don't need everybody to sign off on what the fuck you want to do. If you want to go bald-headed, then go bald-headed. Like, do it. And you wear that shit with pride. And you put on your little makeup if you want that. You put on your big-ass earrings if that's what you want to. Do what the fuck you want to do, because at the end of the day, this life that we live is ours. I still struggle with it to this day, even in my relationship with my girlfriend, where I have to understand that my life is not... the purpose is not for me to serve another human being. Yes, I do provide service to her in ways of like, I'll take care of dinner tonight. I'll make sure you feel, better because you're probably not feeling well. I'll take care of this, whatever. But my whole life is not dedicated to making sure that everything is done by me for her. Because she's human and she's an individual as well who can take care of those things. And so she has been one of the people who has been teaching me, like, Shin, go back to finding who you are. Figure out what your hobbies are. Figure out what you like to do in your spare time. How do you reground yourself? How do you, like, what is it that you want to do? Is that what you want to wear? Okay, cool, do it. And I work with a therapist now, too, who also is helping me with, like, understanding where, the clinical depression / anxiety can really, like, fuck with me with, like, mood and, like, just energy levels to go outside, just all of that stuff. And so I want you to be very, very honest with yourself that you are not going to heal overnight. And you also, like me, may struggle with seeking validation for every single thing or wondering, damn, people didn't give me the applause today at work, so that must mean that that project that I presented on was awful. No, it just means that people are people. And sometimes getting that nice little sweet note saying, damn, that was a really good presentation, or you look so nice today, or you did really great with that, is really great. And what's even more important than that is that you know that shit and you can tell yourself that shit and sit 10 toes or sit strong in it and stand 10 toes down on it. Our lives are meant to be lived by us. And I'm gonna be honest with you, some days are harder than others. There's some days where I feel like, damn, I didn't do a good enough job because they didn't say good job. And there are other days where I'm like, I know I did that shit. Y'all can leave me the fuck alone, though. I don't even need y'all to say shit to me because I know what the fuck I did. And I know I did it well, bitch. But, man, life after the cult, bro, is wild. Like, I be fighting sometimes, you know? I be fighting for my life some days. And in the sense of, like, trying to get my life together, trying to, like, you know, because there's a lot of things just for my background in general that I'm trying to, like, step out of, like making sure I'm financially responsible. I am taking care of myself. I'm, you know, investing in the clothes and the shoes that I buy instead of, like, just doing, I'm not judging fast fashion because I used to use it often, but just understanding that, like, buy the things that you want, buy them in good quality so that they last. Just like looking for those dopamine rushes in a way that's more healthy for me. Because I would look for that through shopping. I would look for that through other means, and it's just like, no, if you read a new book, then you go do that, you know? But I feel like I'm just rambling now. But either way, this is not the last time we're going to talk about this topic, but I wanted to make sure that I shared it because it's important. And that's it. That's all I got. So, you be blessed and be ready for the next episode of After the Cult. Okay, bye.